You can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Look Into It. Tonight, we're getting deep into politics, devolution specifically, with John Patel, Patriot. What's up, John? It's been a while.
It has been a while. I don't even remember. Has it been a year?
It's been about a year, man. It's
Man,
been about a
crazy.
year.
I'm doing well,
And
man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, considering, all the end of the world scenarios that are going on right now. I mean, shit, we're about as close to World War III as we've ever been.
I know it's nuts, but I think it's kind of part of this. It's a scare event.
Yeah. So, what we talked about in depth the last time you were here is the theory of devolution, aka continuity of government. There's a guy named Derek Johnson on Rumble. He's talking about it all the time. He's got his own
Yeah,
you know him, right?
I know of him. He's got a different approach, let's say, than I do.
But you guys
And
are
I've
talking
actually,
about the same thing though, right?
yeah, kind of. I want it to be clear that I'm not associated with him in any way. We kind of got into it a while ago. I don't need to go into details, but like I reached out, offering to chat with him because a bunch of the stuff he says he does it up from a different approach where I do it like all documents, sources, everything, and he just kind of throws shit in the wind. And so I was asking him some questions, and he like just freaked out and had a little mental breakdown and then blocked me. And so like I haven't talked to him in a while, and now he's like going after General Flynn. And so I just want to I love General Flynn. Me and him are, I mean, we're not buddies, but I know I chat with him now and then. And so I am not associated with Derek Johnson.
Yeah, man. It's man, it's like a murder mystery. It's like who
I
is
know.
legit, who isn't legit, because you know, you'd think General Flynn was legit, and then people are saying, "Oh, he's a part of the psychological operation. You can't trust him. You could trust Sidney Powell. You can't trust Sidney Powell. You could trust Mike Lindell. You can't trust Mike Lindell." Just like it's like, who the fuck do you trust, and who do you believe? It really is just like a big
It's a
old guessing
minefield.
game. Yeah, like who's legit? I mean, it is pretty easy to tell who the decrepit demons are. I mean,
Yeah.
like for sure, like Adam Schiff is not a good guy. Like that's
Yep.
for sure. Nancy Pelosi, for sure. We know who for sure is a demon. But man, it's tricky when it comes to like who is legit and is there anyone legit? I mean, I'm still pulling for Trump, but I wouldn't be surprised if turns out he's part of the whole Zionist plan, and all that shit.
Yeah, I've heard that argument before too. I don't buy it. I mean, and honestly, if Trump is enemy, we are beyond screwed. They're just
Oh
toying
yeah,
with us at this point.
yeah.
But you're right. When you look at, I always say that we're in a period of irregular warfare, like information war and narrative war, and it's a new phase of war, and that's what General, Flynn talks about a lot. He wrote a whole book or two books now on psyops, fifth generation warfare. Think of the budget and the amount of money spent on just traditional warfare and weapons and all that stuff. Imagine how much money they put into this kind of warfare too. So it makes perfect sense that there are paid shills, like infiltrators in our movement, guaranteed. I mean, probably a boatload of them. And it is really difficult to kind of sort out who. And I don't even like making accusations. I more so encourage people to use their own discernment and just, you can follow whoever you want. Just when they're wrong, push them on it and like ask why they're wrong and see if they admit to it or see how they react. And you'll generally find the ones that lash out violently or like get super just upset or those are the ones that I kind of start to stay away from because I mean, what's the point? Where's the integrity in your work if you get mad at somebody for proving that you're wrong? You know what I mean? So I just try to lean towards the people with integrity, and beyond that, there's not much more we can do at this point.
Now, for the listeners that didn't hear our first podcast a year ago, let's go over what continuity of government and devolution, the theory. It's basically the theory that Trump. How would you put it in a nutshell?
Yeah. So I first want to clarify, I have no inside information. my entire series at you can find at devolution.link is all based on open source information. I don't speculate on anything. And if I do, if I'm like, hey, I think this is happening, I tell you it's speculation. So this is all public information. But what Trump was up against the entire time he was president was an enemy that was trying to take him out, right? Like it started with the Russia collusion hoax and went into impeachment and then COVID and the stolen election and January 6th and another impeachment, all this stuff. They clearly did not want to let him be a president. And so as a duly elected president, you have tools available to you in times of war or emergency. And the theory of devolution that I've put together is there's documented proof, a whole bunch of moves that Trump made before leaving office that I believe he was doing to set up some form of continuity of government. Now, continuity of government, it goes way back to, the 40s and 50s is when it really became popular under Eisenhower. Threat of nuclear war. What are we going to do if our government gets wiped out in Washington, D.C.? Right now, we'd probably applaud. But, back then, how do we continue carrying on our government? So they have these plans in place where there's a second form of government elsewhere, like outside the country in a bunker or wherever. Sometimes it's multiple locations, and that's what will carry on the actions of the government. Well, based on the publicly available information that Trump that is out there, Trump made a bunch of moves that hint towards some sort of continuity of government plan being in place. And the way I view it, like I don't think Trump is still president. I don't think he's commander in chief. I think he implemented the plan called devolution, which is where you devolve your authority as president to other individuals to carry it out. And I think specifically there's a military aspect to it, but I think it's probably a little bit bigger than that. It's hard to know how many people are involved, but I think it's essentially guardrails. So it's almost guiding the current administration. Like they can only do so much. And if they cross a certain line, they kind of get directed back in place. But it's mainly protecting our country from attack. There's 8 national essential functions that our military is tasked with upholding, and I think they've prioritized those, and that's what they're doing. And so, I have a great video that it's like 2.5, 3 minutes long, where it basically outlines all this proof that Trump did, and Trump is like openly saying now that this is his second term. Like, I don't know if you saw that clip, but he's like openly saying.
Can we see that video? Play that video. We got all that.
Let me pull it up. Well, first let me play this one. This is a 20-second video. Okay. Let me share my screen. And so this is Chris Miller. Right after the stolen election, Donald Trump fired Secretary of Defense Esper, and he placed this guy called Chris Miller. His name's Chris Miller as acting Secretary of Defense. And this guy's an expert in irregular warfare. And if you look at what irregular warfare is, it's like psyops. It's like narrative warfare.
Trump, like in December, like the last month he was president, right?
Nope.
He switched out the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, he switched the Secretary of Defense out a day after Joe Biden was declared the winner. So November 9th. Joe Biden was declared the winner on November 7th or 8th. And then November 9th, Chris Miller was named the acting Secretary of Defense. And here, is this showing up for you here?
Yes.
Okay, this is the first video. This is where Chris Miller himself defines irregular warfare, and this is really important. And on the left there, that's Ezra Cohen Watnick, by the way. So this is another guy that on November 11th was promoted within Trump's Department of Defense. But here, let me play this.
Irregular warfare, and this is loaded because of the Vietnam War with hearts and minds, but really what we're talking about is the center of gravity is the local population and winning their loyalty to the government that you are supporting or the effort that you're supporting. So that's kind of how I always end up keeping it simple. Irregular warfare.
So the big part there is the center of gravity of irregular warfare is basically winning over the loyalty of the local population. And I think that's kind of the basis of why Trump walked away. I think he had evidence of a stolen election.
Can we hear that one more time? Can I hear? Is there any way you could turn up the volume on your computer too? Okay.
I can't. It's a bad audio from the video, so there's not much I can do on it.
We'll turn it up in post.
Okay, let me play it one more time.
Irregular warfare, and this is loaded because of the Vietnam War with hearts and minds, but really what we're talking about is the center of gravity is the local population and winning their loyalty to the government that you are supporting or the effort that you're supporting. So that's kind of how I always end up keeping it simple.
Okay, I get that.
Okay, so that's
so it's really about before making, because if Trump would have just went in there and arrested all the crooks in DC, they would have easily made him look like Hitler. You know, you
Yeah.
have to get the people behind you first, right?
Yep. And there probably would have been like some sort of small scale civil war. And so I think that's what a lot of people call the Great Awakening, right? Kind of this period we're going through is the Great Awakening. People are waking up, getting red pilled. And that's kind of what he just described there is winning over the local population to your government or your efforts. And that's what I think Trump was doing. But then when you look further, there's a whole bunch of like, there's a laundry list of moves Trump made specifically with irregular warfare right before the election and all these things. Let me play this video clip. This is the other good one. It's kind of a summary. It has some, it's basically me talking, but then there's some clips. It's a great video. Let me play this quick. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. When you actually look at all this stuff, there is documented proof that something different is going on.
And in my second term, which we're sort of having now, but I don't want the results, right?
There's a flurry of moves at the Department of Defense, which Rachel Maddow on TV, like,
kind of a weird reaction to losing the election, right? Immediately fire the defense secretary and install a new guy.
What should happen is what the plan that we're on now, and I think a plan that's going to make people very, very happy.
What do they think the NSA and the CIA can do if they were suddenly commandeered by Trump lackeys?
We have some very good controls in place. And they're going to get 3 more years. They rig an election, they're going to get another 3 more years.
Trump was making tons of moves in irregular warfare, specifically having to do with irregular warfare. And then just like a couple months ago, he comes out and openly admits that the last 7 years, our intel agencies have been conducting
illegal psychological warfare campaigns against the American people. I'm a wartime president. This is a war. This is a war, different kind of a war than we've ever had.
Chris Miller, like, cut the red tape for Ezra Cohen-Watnick, the head of special operations, to report directly to Christopher Miller, the Secretary of Defense.
They think it's a trick that I'm playing on them. They think I'm playing a trick.
On December 7th, when Donald Trump issued the executive order which implemented and executed a continuity of government plan.
They cheated, and it's a shame that they're allowed to get away. And let's see whether or not they do get away, because I don't think they will get away with it.
Chris Miller, who's been the Secretary of Defense for like a month and 5 days or something, says we've been through some of the most
Complex military operations this country's ever conducted.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, you know, when you rob the store of its diamonds, I always say Tiffany, and you rob Tiffany of its diamonds and you get caught, you're supposed to return them. If we caught them cheating, you're going to let somebody that cheated stay for 3 more years? I can't imagine it.
Donald Trump issued 10 national security presidential memorandums in his last 10 days in office. Those specifically deal with national security matters. He issued one every 53.7 days leading up to that point, and he issued 10 in his last 10 days, and some of them are still classified. We have no idea what they are.
If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president. But when you're beating the so-called, I say so-called president of the United States, when you're beating him by so much.
2 days before Trump left office, the continuity of government protocol, like the warning system, was sent out to thousands of government employees. And everybody's like, what the hell is going on?
I don't want the results of this second term. This second term is a disaster for this country.
There you have it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man, that's a great video. It pretty much sums it all up.
It really does. There's something different going on.
Can we go over the most powerful? Can you pull up the executive orders and kind of explain what they mean? Like,
yeah, man.
Like,
no, what I'll do is actually pull up my articles probably because I have it all in here. So
okay,
the biggest proof that there's some form of continuity of government plan going on is this one. And this is my part 13. So, and all this can be found at devolution.link, and you can either read them or there's somebody who reads them, and it's on the website as well. But part 13, on December 7th, Trump issued this executive order. Now, I've read through all of Trump's executive documents. There's over 1,200 of them. And specifically the executive orders, I read through those multiple times, like probably up to 10 times now. And I've studied these things because there's a ton of moves Trump made. But this is number one. Executive Order 13961, December 7th, 2020, Governance and Integration of Federal Mission Resiliency. It's based, so every executive order is based on certain authorities. This is one based in the National Security Act of 1947. And if you go look at that, it's Title 50 in our U.S. Code, which is War and National Defense. So right off the bat, this executive order is based on authorities stemming from war and national defense. So that's like kind of my antenna went up a little bit. That was interesting. When you start reading through, they're talking about Presidential Policy Directive 40 with PPD 40, which is the continuity of government. And they even say in here that the president must maintain the capability and capacity to continuously perform national essential functions. And I go in here and I actually list out what those are. But the biggest proof here is where the changes he makes. He says the strategy is to ensure continuity of operations, continuity of government, and enduring constitutional government. And he creates this committee, and this committee is tasked. I mean, all these key players, Christopher Miller especially being one of them, but the committee is tasked with facilitating execution of the plan and other continuity policies. So this committee is going to execute some sort of plan. Then you dig further into this. The plan is a plan of continuity of government. And so this was something that was put into place by a supposed outgoing president. And why would he do that? Like, why would he need to implement something like this on the way out the door? And then another big proof, I would say, is let me do this one and go to the end here. So my part 16, I have a timeline. And one of the last things he did, and again, you can see this is all documented, sourced, everything. But every president has these tools that they use for implementing national security matters, like, or decisions. And Trump's were called national security presidential memorandums. And you can go to the website, you can look at it yourself, and you can, oh, it's not pulling up. Why is it not pulling up? Anyway, you click on the website, and it'll show you all these national security presidential memorandums that Trump issued. He issued a total of 36 of them, 35 of them. And his total presidency, up from when he got inaugurated to January 12th of 2021, there was a total of over 1,400 days. And he had issued 27 NSPMs, so national security decisions or directions. That was one every 53.7 days. In his last 10 days in office, as he was going out the door, he issued 10 of them. So he averaged one every day. And I haven't updated a single one of my articles since I've written it. And there's been one more that's came up. That's why there's 10. I think in this article, I say there's 9, but he issued 10 of these on his way out the door. Like that makes no sense for a president. You go back and look at every other president. There's one time that a president in the past has issued even one of these after he was elected out of office. And I think it was like Bush. He issued one in like November after the election. But this guy, Trump, issued 10 in his last 10 days in office. It makes no sense.
Did they all have to do with continuity of government? Were they all related?
No, they're all sorts of different things. Some of them have to do with the national security policy. Some have to do with the national nuclear risk reduction. This National Operations Security Program, number 28, that implements OPSEC, which is like operations security that the military uses. It implements that in the White House, which I thought was interesting. And then there's like 4 or 5 of these that are still classified. We have no idea what they are, which also makes no sense. But again, it's the fact that he did 10 of these in his last 10. Like he was gearing up, and I think taking a wartime footing on his way out the door. And nothing else makes sense. Like, why would an outgoing president issue 10 of these in his last 10 days in office? But that's just a few. I mean, I could go hours. I wrote 25 articles. So
yeah, let's hear the most important ones. We got time. Now, do you think he said he did it like after the rigged election? Did he write all those executive orders as a reaction to the election being rigged, or did he already know they were going to be rigged and this was all had nothing to do with that? He was just going to do them at the end, and it wasn't like he was surprised that the election was rigged and he lost, right?
No, it wasn't a surprise at all. I mean, Trump told us after COVID was implemented, and I'm talking like April or so, he was saying that, they're going to use COVID to steal the election. So I have an introduction article here where I even show some of the clips where he said that.
Sam Tripoli and I are coming to your town. Catch us on the road doing tinfoil hat comedy. Follow me on Instagram at tinfoil hat comedy night. Thursday, January 11th, we'll be in Cleveland. January 12th, we'll be in Philadelphia. Go to samtripoli.com for more information and to buy your tickets. See you on the road.
And actually, this is a great article to go through. So he called himself a wartime president. He said they're using COVID to defraud the American people. That was in April, I believe. And then again, this is in like May. He says it follows months of Trump claiming without evidence that widespread mail-in voting during the COVID pandemic would invite fraud into the election. I could
Yeah,
probably share my
I
screen
remember
again.
all that. He was calling all that out for sure.
Yep. And then if you look back to one of the first things he actually did in office, he I think this is the one, 2000 Mules. Yeah. So one of the first things he did when he got into office, another executive order, is he established this Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity. And if you go and read through this, this was basically examining all of our election fraud. Like he goes in here and he lists all the people voting twice, the ballots, the voter rolls, improper voting, all these things. He lists out all the ways that they cheat, minus the machines, which he lists elsewhere. But it's like he knew exactly how they cheated, and he called it out in 2017, like March of 2017. And then this ends up
after he won. You would think, since he won, that's the last thing on his mind is rigging elections, right? That would be the last thing.
You would think so, but actually, after he won, he even came out and said that they got 3 million illegal votes. The Democrats did, and that was probably a underestimate. I mean, he called out the cheating, but then so did the Democrats. But the Democrats didn't push for any audits, because I think if they would have found that the Democrats they probably still cheated. They just didn't cheat enough. I think they underestimated Trump.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Because people say, well, if the elections are rigged, how did Trump win the first time? And
Yeah,
I don't know shit. But based on what I've heard, it seems like there's a bunch of different ways you can cheat and rig elections. And one way is the machines, and then one way is the ballot harvesting, another way is dead people, another way is forged signatures. There's a bunch of different ways, stuffing ballots and all that shit. But one of them definitely is the electronic voting machines. And it seems like that's all they really needed before, because they weren't doing like, what they did after COVID, sending out millions of ballots and then, out in the mail. So they never did that before. So it seems like all they really needed was the machines at first. And then, and it seems like as long as it's relatively close, the race, the machines are all you need. And, but anytime there's a blowout or a landslide, the machines, they can't flip the votes because it's got to be relatively close. So they, like you said, they underestimated. They thought they could win with just the machines, but they were wrong. So the second election, they go, okay, we got to fucking go full blown on this, and we need ballots. We need to, send out how many millions, like 100 million ballots that they sent out or something like that.
Some states sent like 4 ballots to like one person at old addresses. I mean, it's death by 1,000 cuts. They can do it in so many ways. The machines are definitely an aspect of it, and Trump called that out too. What's been interesting about the whole January 6th committee and these trials that Trump is in right now. I mean, he's being targeted so heavily, and it's like he's growing in power. It's kind of hilarious. He's like Thanos. Like every new indictment, it's like another, whatever diamond or emerald on his glove. He's just growing stronger. But one of the documents that came out of the January 6th committee was a draft executive order, one that wasn't actually implemented, but it was like prepared for him and he had it ready to go. He just didn't issue it. And I think it's because he did something else, but he calls out directly a bunch of the machine voting, Dominion, Scytl, all those things. I mean, it's pretty interesting. But recently, one of his trials that he's in, he let me see if I got this here. Yeah, right here. Let's get this pulled up too. So he's going back and forth with the Jack Smith and all these people, and he comes out and says in one of his court filings, this is his lawyer filed this for his trial. He says that President Trump is going to offer classified information at trial relating to foreign influence activities that impacted the 2016 and 2020 elections, as well as efforts by his administration to combat those activities. So Trump is now openly stating that he has evidence of foreign actors impacting the 2020 and 2016 election, and he's going to show evidence of it in court. So, I mean, this was like a couple weeks ago, a week and a half ago, big marker, because one of the bases for my theory, because there's aspects of it that isn't public. Some of the basis is like, okay, we speculate that the election was stolen. I mean, there is evidence of it, but how much evidence did Trump have? And is that enough to give him the basis and the authority to do what we think he did by putting in these guardrails, like of some form of continuity of government? And so now he's finally like, yes, we're going to offer classified evidence, hasn't been seen before, to prove that foreign actors influenced the election. And that's a huge marker. So something to look forward to in these trials.
Yeah. Did you see that one meme of, I don't know if you call it a meme, but it's a picture of Trump in court and his face looks young. Have you seen that
I
one?
haven't seen that one. No.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a filter. It's you could do that to any picture. It makes him look like maybe 30 years younger. And
He
and
looks
people,
great.
People are saying, "Oh, look, that's an imposter in court. He's wearing a mask. Look at,
I
everything
hate
is scripted. Everything's scripted. Look, they got a guy in a mask, and meanwhile, it's a filter."
Yeah, I hate that stuff. You see that a lot about Biden too. Like everybody says, oh, he's wearing a mask. It's not really him. Full control, all this stuff. I've never actually read through all the Q drops. Like I've read some, people send them to me. But that's a big part. I still haven't done it because I don't think my series is done, and I don't want any influence. But I'm like, they're very compelling. What I've seen, it lines up very closely to my work, which I found through open source stuff. The Q drops, they seem to line up. So, but that's a big one. A lot of the Q people are like full control actors. Biden's an actor. Biden's Jim Carrey. All this stuff, and I don't see it. But
I mean, I've seen the videos of the masks, and those masks look real, and they're definitely 100%. There's the one video of, what's that chick's name that married the prince? She's like Muslim or something. Merkel. What's her?
Meghan Markle.
Is that her? She
Yep.
married one of the princes, and they kicked her out. They kicked them out of. They kicked them out of the castle. Have you seen that video where it's clearly someone in a mask?
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
Okay, now we're gonna find this.
I mean, I know that stuff exists.
Oh yeah,
there's a certain level. I mean, I think Joe Biden, the guy who's had 2 strokes and 3 brain surgeries or something, I think he's just got Alzheimer's and struggling big time.
Do you think? What do you think about him faking his dementia, so that when the laptop stuff really comes out, he won't have to testify?
I don't know. I don't buy it. I think it's genuine. I think he's really struggling. You look at some of his interviews and his interactions. I mean, if he is faking it, then he's like he deserves an Oscar or an Emmy or whichever one goes.
What's her name? Meghan Markle?
Yeah, Meghan Markle. I can see if I can find it too. Meghan
Markle. Okay, there it is. Mask fake. Let's see. Man, I wonder if they scrubbed it from YouTube.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Because there's this interview where
it's got to be on Rumble somewhere, BitChute. Yeah, they don't have it.
I wonder if Twitter has it.
But it's 100. They're like out in public, like waving to people, and that shit is fake. There's no way that's a real person.
No way.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know the mask you're talking about. Like, I've seen the mask. The technology in those things is insane. So I never put it completely out of the realm of possibility that it is happening. I just think,
yeah, you can't really. You don't know for sure. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so it's hard for me to say that there is, and I do believe. I mean, it's pretty obvious Biden had a facelift, and so everybody's always like, "Look at his earlobes; they're attached in one picture now, and they're not before." But that's what they do with facelifts. They like pull your face back and they like attach your earlobes to it, and that's how the surgery is performed. So that's what I think happened, but I don't know.
Oh man. So what do you think when what do you think of like the whole Zionist thing? Like Zionists run everything. People say that, there's people say, oh, Jews run everything, right? But then there's other people that say, no, it's not the Jews, it's the Zionists. And there's a lot of Christian Zionists. So you don't have to be Jewish to be Zionist. And it's the Zionists that control everybody, that are blackmailing everybody, that have this agenda to take over the world and all that. But it's,
Yeah,
Trump is a Zionist. Joe Biden admits he's a Zionist on video.
does he really?
Oh yeah, Joe Biden says he says something like people say you have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. I'm not Jewish, and I'm Zionist, so that's wrong. Or he says something like that. Definitely, he admits he's a Zionist.
Well, Zionism, my understanding of it, it's like the belief or the movement or whatever, where the Jewish people get their ancestral homeland, right? I mean, I think that's what Israel is for, and I think that's what Zionism is. So, I mean, technically, you don't have to be Jewish to be for the Jewish people to have a homeland. It's this whole period we're in right now is so crazy because it's such a divisive topic. Like you can't say anything or question anything in terms of like, hey, let's not go fund another war in Israel without people coming out and being like,
you're
anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm just like, I'm more pro-American than I am pro-funding other wars. Like, it wouldn't matter to me if this war was in Ukraine, which I was against, or in Africa or China. I'm sick of funding other wars. That's just kind of what's wrong with that.
Especially wars that have to do over what God said. Like, this is Holy Land War. Like, oh no, this is our land. It says it in the Bible. I go, no, in our Bible, this is our land. We're the chosen one. I'm like, whoa, there's no way. I don't see how you could win that debate or even convince anybody of anything. We're talking about Holy Land and religious stuff. So let's just stay out of it. Let them deal with it. If you guys want to fight over God's land, yeah, go for it. You're nothing wrong with being super religious, but leave me out of it. Leave me the fuck out of that shit. Let's secure our borders and let's not get involved in any other war. Just get out of the Middle East. Just get the fuck out of there. What are we doing there?
That's exactly what I've been saying. Like, it would be one thing if our economy was doing just awesome and we had a surplus and our borders were secure and we had no homeless people and our veterans weren't we have a laundry list of issues in our country right now where I would rather put our money there and fix things here than send it to another country. But you bring up that point anywhere and people are like, oh, you're anti-Semitic for not supporting that war. But there's a lot of interesting things about how this whole war went down. So, and a lot of this goes back to Trump too, because Trump, you go to look at what he did with Saudi Arabia, the sword dance, the Abraham Accords, like peace in the Middle East while he was there. Lots of very interesting things. But Saudi Arabia specifically, they had a deal. Like, there was going to be a peace deal. We were weeks away. It was reported we were weeks away from that deal being signed. And I'll admit, I don't know the full details of this. So one of the guys I've been following, he's actually on our network, Badlands Media. His name is Ghost of Base Patrick Henry. You can find him on Twitter. But the deal was reportedly going to give the West Bank to full Palestinian control, which since like 1967, it's been under partial militarization from Israel. But part of this deal was the West Bank, the Palestinians were going to get all of the West Bank to themselves. Okay, so if you're Israel and you're Netanyahu, and that's a deal that's getting closer and closer, wouldn't that kind of be something that, like, if you believe that Israel's the full homeland, like, Palestine, whatever, that's your full homeland, you wouldn't want the Palestinians to get the West Bank? And so out of nowhere, a country with one of the best, intel agencies in Mossad or whatever, the Israeli Defense Forces, and the Iron Dome, like this technology that can shoot down any rocket coming in, fails to see paragliders coming into the country. Like, how does that make any sense? Not only was it an intelligence failure, but it was clearly an Iron Dome failure. Like, they can shoot rockets, but they can't shoot paragliders. Doesn't make none of it makes sense. So, was this intentional? Did they want this to happen? I don't know. It's speculation, but these are questions that need to be asked. I think some people are out there asking them, which is good. But the whole thing is just, I don't trust a single thing the media tells me, the mainstream media. You haven't trusted them since like 2018, before I even really truly woke up. But then, look at their laundry list of things that they've fucked up. It's COVID they got wrong, the elections they got wrong, everything about Biden they've gotten wrong, the Ukraine war they've gotten wrong. But now they're telling us like, hey, you have to support this cause in Israel because, bad people did bad things, which I fully support. If you're Israel and you want to go wipe out bad people who did bad things to you, like every country and every individual should have the right to defend themselves. I think that's totally appropriate. Go do your thing. But to some of these people out here, like Ben Shapiro, calling for the entire genocide of all Palestinians because they voted for Hamas in 2006, the last time they had an election. And also like, hey, terrorist organization, kill people. Maybe they'd steal an election too. Like maybe it just doesn't make any logical sense, but this is where we're at. People are calling for that shit. And it doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm trying to kind of stay neutral. Like I support Israel's defending themselves. I think there's some weird stuff that happened with the attack in the first place. I think they clearly wanted an out from the Saudi Arabia deal that was about to take place. And I don't know, man.
And then have you seen the video of Ron Paul, an old video of him saying that the Israeli government created Hamas? I'm Eddie Bravo, founder of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu with over 150 schools and over 30,000 soldiers worldwide. Music has always been my deepest passion. Without that musical journey that I took, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I can't tell my music story without having my musical partner my whole life and best friend, Mr. James Watson.
I said, I want to be in a band no matter what. Oh, well, there it is. I got to move to Los Angeles. I said, I got to go to that place. If this California is supporting metal.
Me and James just started making music. Mastering the Metal, the story of James Watson and Eddie Bravo. Print and audiobook available now.
I've heard that too. And I
mean, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true, but if it's true, doesn't that change everything? Doesn't that? I mean, let me see if I can find that video of.
It's compelling, Matt. Like
Let me see if I can find that video real quick. One participant, multiple. Okay, that's not me. Share screen.
Well, and not just Israel, creating it, but there's also the Iran aspect here where Iran is definitely funding. Oh, do you find it?
Okay, this is the one where Joe Biden admits he's a Zionist. Watch.
Okay. It's hard to hear, but yeah, he definitely says you don't have to be a Jew.
He goes, if I was a Jew, I'd be a Zionist. I'm a Zionist. You don't have to be a Jew to be. Maybe that was taken out of context.
I don't know how it could be.
Right? I guess. I don't know. Maybe that was taken out of context, but something about Zionism. What were we just talking about? We're talking about
Israel founding.
Ron Paul. Paul.
I need to relaunch my browser, by the way. So it shouldn't kick me out of Zoom, but just in case, I'll be right back in. But I think I'll be good.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good. Sweet.
Ron Paul, Hamas created by Israel. Let's see if it's real. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Let's listen to this.
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to this resolution, not because I am taking sides and picking who the bad guys are and who the good guys are, but I'm looking at this more from the angle of being a United States citizen, an American, and I think resolutions like this really do us great harm. In many ways, what's happening in the Middle East, in particular with Gaza right now, we have some moral responsibility for both sides in a way, because we provide help and funding for both Arab nations and Israel. And so we definitely have a moral responsibility, and especially now today, the weapons being used to kill so many Palestinians are American weapons, and American funds essentially are being used for this. But there's a political liability which I think is something that we fail to look at because too often there's so much blowback from our intervention in areas that we shouldn't be involved in. You know, Hamas, if you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. And you say, well, yeah, that was better then and served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, we have such a good system, we're going to impose this on the world. We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas. So we first indirectly and directly through Israel help establish Hamas. Then we have election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them. You know, it just doesn't make sense. During the 80s, you know, we were allied with Osama bin Laden, and we were contending with the Soviets. It was at that time our CAA thought it was good if we radicalized the Muslim world. So we financed the madrasa schools to radicalize the Muslims in order to compete with the Soviets. There's too much blowback. There's a lot of reasons why we should oppose this resolution. It is not in the interest of the United States. It's not in the interest of Israel either.
Wow.
Interesting, right? So
fascinating.
I kind of, you know, Israel, the government can say, yeah, we helped create Hamas for a certain reason. Now they're doing other things that we're opposed to. So now we got to destroy them.
Yeah. I mean, and there's multiple countries that are funding it. Iran, which Iran nuclear deal, Biden, who knows what kickbacks they got there. There's rumors of Hunter Biden getting, you know, helping move weapons illegally to Hamas through their China deal with CEFC. I mean, things are getting interesting, but we're in a narrative war, right? And I think there's guardrails in place, like I've said before, but being in a narrative war, one of the things that Trump is saying is, hey, I'm going to stop World War III, like prevent, stop, not allow to happen, like all these words. And he's even said, like, I promise World War III will not happen. That's kind of a big statement for somebody who technically shouldn't have any control over the situation at this point to be saying. And then, I mean, I don't know. I think the narrative of like a World War III is something that's been getting pushed further and further. Some key people from Trump's admin have been almost saying, you know, like this could be Armageddon. Like if this gets out of control, we're facing Armageddon. And that's a narrative I think that Trump needs to be the peacemaker for. And it's interesting, Zelensky very recently called Trump to come over. He wants to meet with Trump to put an end to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which is mind-blowing. Why would he call Trump and not Biden? You know what I mean? But that was in the news this last week, that Zelensky's calling on Trump.
Yo, I'm sure you've seen this, but oh man, I gotta play it this has got to be like super viral. But Zelensky asking for credit. Let's see. Oh no. Rumble don't have it?
Zelensky asked for credit?
You haven't seen this? Him asking for credit?
I don't think so.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. It's got to be on here, asking for
asking for credit and we'll give money back after the war?
Yes.
Okay, I do have that here.
Oh, do you have that?
Yeah, I have it on Twitter.
Oh my God, that like him. If you can, give us credit. Here it is. I found it. Gosh. Hey, check this out. This is fucking hysterical. Okay, please give us a credit, and we will give you back money after the war. Dude, that sounds like I don't know. That just sounds like you're at a fucking flea market. You know what I mean? It's like this is shady ass dude at a flea market.
Literally begging for money. Nobody's really talking about that war anymore, though. It was the biggest threat that we had faced since Trump, the threat to democracy, and then before that, COVID. But Russia winning that war was like, if Russia wins that war, the entire world is going to collapse and die. Like they're not going to stop at Ukraine. They're going to go all over Europe and then to the United, like everything.
Yeah,
But now nobody's like, oh, whatever. Nobody's talking about it anymore. We're not even going to give the guy money. I mean, they're trying to in Congress, but or at least Biden is. But all the narrative is on the Middle East now, where Trump had the Abraham Accords. Trump was the president of peace, and now we have this shit show going on. It's crazy.
Fucking hysterical how much money they keep asking for. It's like, dude, we just gave you a fucking $10 billion, dog. You guys already went through it. What? Slow the fuck down. It's like every couple weeks, another 5 billion, or another 10 billion, another 5 billion. Like, they have balls to keep asking for what fucking balls they have. Ask for another 10 billion. Like, God.
It's nuts.
Where is this fucking money going to? I mean, one thing about the government, you know, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed. Obviously, the election process and on all levels that needs to be fixed. But one thing that needs to be fixed is accounting for all the tax.
Oh yeah,
all the tax money, where it's going. There needs to be like a non-governmental, if that's even, you know, some kind of agency, like a task force. You know, they had like those task force that what was that one, that El Dorado task force, the one that was was about to bust some motherfuckers before 9/11, and then they blew that shit up. You know, there's some kind of task force where that is uncorruptible, if that's even possible, but that keeps fucking track of all this fucking money. Like, what is going on? Money is just being fucking stolen and blown all over the fucking place. And it's insane. Like, okay, 10 billion. Like, I hope people, I mean, I hope this continuity of government theory is real, you know. I mean, that would be a good thing if it is.
Me too.
Would be a good thing, right? But there's got to be, if it is, they got to be monitoring all that fucking money. I mean, they got to be. That's got to be part of the continuity of government. Let them write this bill. Let them say they're going to send whatever, and we'll like a sting operation, right? Let's see where the money goes, and let's just gather up as much evidence as possible, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. So the financial aspect of this is kind of a mind fuck of its own, and there's a whole bunch of different angles you can look at this. I start with our financial system, like just how it's built, like a debt-based system, credit-based system. It's designed for failure. Like our debt is just out of control, and it's only getting worse under Biden. But what really kind of like catapulted it was all the moves Trump made right before leaving office during COVID, like the printing of money and the I mean, he was able to structure things so that during COVID, it seemed like financially we were at our best point. Interest rates were at the lowest ever. Gas prices were lowest ever. All these things were super low. Probably helped that, you know, it was a pandemic and they were, you know, all these emergency actions to make things seem great. But now under Biden, like that printing of money hasn't stopped, and it only like has escalated. And now everybody's like objectively in a worse place financially. All of the interest rates are terrible. Like looking for a home right now, getting a mortgage, you're looking at like 7-8%. It's insane. But our financial system is just nuts. Then you look at what else is going on in the world with the BRICS coalition. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you know, Brazil,
like Brazil, Russia, China, they're all getting off the US dollar as far as like trading goes, and petro, correct?
I'm
no expert on that shit.
Recently Saudi Arabia asked to join, and they're going to be permitted, and the BRICS coalition, all these other major players basically said, we are done using the dollar as the global reserve currency. We're going to start trading in our own money. And there's been talks about them creating their own cryptocurrency, which what you were talking about is in terms of the audits, like there is some task force out there that audit the money. I know the DOD recently set up a group to specifically monitor and look into what's happening with our money that went to Ukraine. That's OIG, Office of Inspector General. His name is Robert Storch. He's got some interesting tidbits to him, like his background, but he's looking into where the money to Ukraine is going. But anyway, the BRICS coalition, all these countries that Trump kind of made the rounds, and this is a kind of a Q thing, but if Trump really were looking to basically take down the globalists, which I believe are the enemy, there's a great series out there. It's called Prussiagate, where they can like basically trace back the hidden enemy, all these central bankers, these big names and the families like the Rothschilds, all that stuff, the people who own the central banks, he can trace them all back and connect them to the country of Prussia. It's fascinating. But if that's the enemy, they're the ones who control our financial system, and essentially they're loaded because the dollar is the global world reserve currency. If that were ever to not be the case, imagine what would happen to our financial system. It would completely collapse. We'd have to kind of start over. That's how you get us out of debt. That's how you do all those things. I'm not a believer of the Nasara Jassara stuff, but I do believe there's enough circumstantial evidence in place to say Trump did something before leaving office, and there's something going on right now. And just based off of that, I can't imagine he doesn't have some sort of answer for how we come out of this. You know, maybe it's a gold-backed currency. Maybe we get back to like a currency actually backed by gold, like we had up until the 1930s or whatever it was, 1917. I don't remember the dates. Or maybe it's Bitcoin. Like, I'm a believer in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and the ledger. I think there could be a potential for voting, but Bitcoin specifically, like its founding, I've talked to some people who've really dug into the research. There's some military aspects connected to the NSA. I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I know I've learned enough to where it's compelling to me, where it's not going anywhere. But anyway, regardless of what happens, like our financial system, I think it's going to collapse at some point, and I do think that has to happen before Trump comes back, whether it's through something prior to the elections or with the election of 2024. But it doesn't make sense. I mean, think about this. Our economy, like financial stuff, that is the thing that affects the most people. And if we were to go through some sort of like Great Depression type event where everything just completely falls on its head, that is going to wake the most people up. And so I do think we're going to see something like that for a brief period before Trump comes back. So I think this whole period right now is about winning people over, not even necessarily winning them over, but just getting them to the middle where they're like apathetic to Trump coming back. As in, okay, Trump is going to come back through the election, or Trump is going to do something before to fix our elections, because I do think our elections are fake, and I do think they're going to steal them if things proceed as they are now. But we need the people to be like, okay, yes, Trump is better than Biden. I'm okay with him returning, whatever fashion that may be. And that's how he gets back. And I think the financial shit show would be the biggest way to get people to that position.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot of people out there that think Trump is part of the deep state. Trump is a Zionist. Trump is, a trick. If that's true, then all this court shit that he's dealing with has to be fake. I want that upper body clench. That's what I'm going after. With the underhook, looking for double underhooks. That's a juicy ass clench. Perfect double underhooks on your side. Boom. That's all perfect. That's huge. In my game, for me, I'm like, I got this motherfucker. First fight in Abu Dhabi 2003 against Gustavo Dantas. I got right in and got perfect double underhooks. I'm like, oh my God, I had him in a lockdown, perfect double underhook, really quick. He just gave it to me. And I was just sitting there going, oh my God, he just gave it to me. That was just off the front headlock, 100%. Push into him. You want to smash him and then jump on that leg. You want to rush them so they don't have so they're off balance. You jump on that leg, you hook that leg, you're gonna take their back or put them in the truck. Either one. Does that make sense? And he has to just, it's fake, so it's not real. So to say that Trump is part of the deep state and he's a Zionist operative, then all this shit in court, all this Trump deranged syndrome, all that shit, it's fake. And that's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that they're not really going after him. They're only pretending that they're going after him and his family. That's hard to believe. And
I never understand, like, what evidence do people have that that's the case? You know, if it's true, then we're screwed regardless. And I'd rather go down like fighting, so.
And then there's people that think that the only way out of this is, we can't, no one's going to come to save us. No one's going to save us. Trump's not going to save us. If you think a president's going to save you, you're insane. We got to start from the bottom. We got to go school council, city council, mayor. We work from the bottom up. And you can't, the Trump's not going to save you. The president's not going to save you. We got to start from the bottom up. I believe we need both.
100%.
I think it's impossible to have a totally corrupt Washington, D.C., executive branch included, and then work from the bottom up. Like, how the fuck are you going to work from the bottom up? Of the top's just going to smash all that shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
100%.
You need to go from the. I agree. We need to start with our schools and with city government, city council, mayor, and all that shit, and our DAs, and be involved in local politics. 100%. That has to happen, but it's not gonna work if you don't have a president that's legit. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way it's gonna work. You got like a Biden type fucking mobster running shit, and then the Congress is all fucking blackmailed, and then you think you're gonna fucking elect a mayor and everything's gonna be all right. That's retarded.
Yep,
We have to have someone legit at the top, and we have to start from the bottom up. You have to have both. You can't. There's no way you're gonna do it with the fucking corrupt. Like, look at the third world countries.
Yep.
You think you think there's any hope for any of those third world? Dude, every Latin American country, every country south of the United States is fucked, and there's no way to save them. It's fucking over. Those countries are fucked. I'm talking about politically. There's no way to save any of those fucking countries.
Well, any of these countries in the world. But so I call that the devolution sandwich. So I do think, I agree with you. It's 100% important for people to get involved locally. And I think that's kind of what 2020 inspired, is like, holy shit, like, look what happened. We need to like fix this ourselves. And that's a narrative that a lot of people are pushing. But you're absolutely right. I don't think none of it is possible without something defeating the head of the snake, essentially. But where it's really interesting, and this is the part I struggle with, I consider our elections, like election integrity, to be the number one issue of our time, because look at everything it affects. These people are able to steal elections at will whenever they want, a flip of the switch. And it's not just our generals. It's probably even more relevant in the primaries, because if they're able to place like a rhino or somebody they can control as a Republican, and then they go on and like they give us the illusion of a victory and no election fraud by letting the Republican rhino win, it looks like, yeah, hey, our Republican won, there's no election fraud, but really it's just a different candidate they can control. Yeah. And so the primaries are huge for that reason. We need America First people in there everywhere. But when the elections are fake and gay everywhere, it doesn't matter. So this is what I was saying leading up to the 2022 midterms, that I believed that Trump was either going to come back before then through some sort of something with our election system was going to be addressed, and that would result in Trump coming back, as in like, okay, we did find massive fraud in 2020. This needs to be fixed. And, I didn't know how it was going to take place, but it was either Trump comes back before the midterms because our elections are fixed, or they're going to steal shit again in 2020, which the midterms were a disappointment. If you ask a lot of people, they did not turn out how we expected them to turn out. We expected this huge red wave, and yeah, we did well enough. We won the House, but it wasn't nearly what we expected. And I think the same thing is going to happen going into 2024. Either something changes in our election system, or they're going to steal the presidency for Joe Biden, which will be the most ridiculous thing in the world. And who knows what happens after that point, because nobody's going to believe it. But honestly, nobody really believed it in 2020 either. The media they kind of just forced it through. And most of the people are like, yeah, well, Trump is mean. So, or the media tells me Trump is mean, so we're going to be fine with it. Who cares? But if it happens again, I don't think they get away with it. But anyway.
But a lot of things about the election process did get fixed. I mean, there's so many levels, and every state has its own problems to fix, and every state is doing it at a different pace, because every state is responsible for their own election process. And like some states are implementing voter ID, correct? I mean, it is
some.
So, but it's still happening though. There's still improvements being made because
you gotta look at the breakdown.
All the fraud that's out in the open.
All the deep blue states who stole the election in 20, none of the real deep blue states or deep blue cities are doing that. It's like, okay, we have a Republican state legislature, whatever, they're making a change in one place. And some of the states that were stolen are still doing it, but man, they're able to steal these things. And it's not just the fact that they can steal them, but it's how corrupt the media is to allow them to do it. The media were the ones that were out here after the 2020 election saying, oh, it was the most secure election in history, and all this stuff of Trump. If you go back and watch the speech Trump gave on election night in 2020, November 3rd, it was like 2:50 in the morning. He comes out with Pence and they talk for like 10 minutes. Trump talks, they cut off, they don't even let Mike Pence speak. But all the mainstream media from the left and even Fox News, like they cut off Trump, were like, there's no evidence that the election was fraudulent. You just want to be very clear that this, everything seems normal. It's normal for us to count for 2 weeks. Like the results are not in. Trump did not win. When he was up by like 700,000 votes in Pennsylvania with like 70% reporting. No, he won that election. They blatantly stole it. The evidence is everywhere. You cannot deny that election was stolen. But they're going to do the same thing again. None of these media people are like less corrupt now. They're all, maybe right now they're kind of pushing for, hey, maybe we should get a Gavin Newsom in here for Biden. But I believe there's enough control in place where Biden is going to be the nominee, and they are going to have to do the same thing they did in 2020, in 2024, unless something changes. They're going to have to steal it again for Biden. It's the only thing that they're able to do is steal it for him and try to get away with it again. But imagine 2024. Like even right now, if they stole the election for Biden, do you think anybody would believe that Joe Biden legitimately won the election? There's not a chance in hell.
No.
Not a chance in hell. But they're going to try. I really think it's going to happen. The impeachment stuff's not going to work. They're not going to impeach Biden. I think they're stuck with Biden, and it's perfect because all this corruption stuff's coming out. His family's clearly on the take from all these different countries. He's completely incompetent. He's not even running his own. He can't formulate a sentence. He can't walk upstairs. The dude can't walk upstairs. But they're gonna do it unless something changes beforehand.
I still think there's a chance that he's faking it, but
maybe
he might be faking it. Because if it's true, and I'm no lawyer, but if it's true that if you're clinically diagnosed with dementia, you don't have to stand trial. If that's actually true, it makes sense. He's he's faking it. Okay, we're gonna need you to fall off your bike, dog. We're gonna need you to fall up this there. Just walk around like you're fucking lost, dude. He's just like walking around like he's like like he has full blown dementia. Now, what do you think? What do you think of Pence? Do you think Pence, because Pence was the vice president, and if this elaborate plan to save the world is legit, you would think that the vice president, of Donald Trump, his vice president would be 100% legit. He would have to be legit, like Dan Scavino or like fucking or like Cash Patel. You know what I mean? Like super, like like a Devin Nunes. Like there's certain guys 100% are patriots. There's no
100%.
fucking way, right? Who are the 100%? Would you say Cash Patel?
Yeah. So I was at Mar-a-Lago last week, my first time ever being there, and I got to meet Cash Patel and Devin Nunes. It was crazy. I mean, the people there were nuts. Dan Bongino,
like 100%, right?
Yeah,
100%.
I think they're both 100%. But it's interesting because
for all your 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu merchandise, please visit 10thplanetjj.com/shop. We also got a Look Into It t-shirt that just dropped. Thank you very much for your support.
So I go by Patel Patriot. When I started my series, like I was just on a random blog and I just watched The Plot to Steal the Presidency, that Amanda Milius movie, and Cash Patel's in there. And I was just a huge Cash Patel fan after that movie. And so I chose my name, Patel Patriot. I had no idea I was going to even start writing this stuff. That kind of came later. But once I kind of got a little bigger, like Cash Patel came out and like, he didn't like me. He was like, I have nothing to do with this Patel Patriot guy, blah, blah, blah. Like just weird stuff. I mean, he's going on interviews with some like a Charlie Ward. I don't know if you know who Charlie Ward is.
Basketball
but
player? Football player?
No. This guy, he's like he's kind of in our community. He says some crazy like alien stuff, like just stuff that I don't, stuff provably, stuff you can prove to be false. Like I don't know him personally and I don't know anybody in the circle, but I've seen his work and it's very shill behavior. But he'll go on some of these smaller podcasts, Cash Patel, and he won't go on my mind. But he like hates me. So I'm like, why do you not like me? And so actually I went up to him at Mar-a-Lago when I saw him. I was like, hey man, I just want to say I'm so sorry. Like, I'm your biggest fan. That's why I chose your name. Patel is like, there's 500,000 Patels in America, by the way. But I mean, I did choose it because of him. But it was like, he was uncomfortable. And so like there's really two options with Patel. I 100% think he's a patriot. I know he's a patriot. You can, based on everything he's involved in, like he's a 100%er, like you said. He's either 100%er and like actually petty that somebody used his name, you know what I mean? Which I do not believe to be the case. There's no way. Or he's like, he's mad that somebody wrote about what I wrote about and used his name doing so. And so it's almost like it got him flack or something, or it inconvenienced him in some way, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. But none of these people, like I've reached out to interview Christopher Miller, who I think is 100%er, won't respond. And I've used like other connections to try to get to him, people I know who know him, and he like, they won't answer, won't talk to me. Cash Patel, I've tried many times to interview him, won't happen. I think Anthony Tata, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was a guy in the DOD right after the stolen election. Trump made all these moves. I tried to get him to come on my show, and he messaged me on Twitter after one of my shows because we were talking about his new book that he wrote. He wrote a book, a fantasy military thriller, where basically it's about a plot to overthrow the government from within. And he wrote it back in like 2018. So it's like a Tom Clancy style book. And he found out that we mentioned on a show. And so he messaged me and the guy, my co-host, and was like, oh, thanks for plugging the book, blah, blah, blah. You can do it more here, here, here. And then I was like, is this really you? And I asked him if this is really you. He's like, yeah. And we were talking a little bit, and I was like, I just can't believe you're actually talking to me. Nobody that I've written about before ever talks to me. Like, would you be willing to answer some questions? And he's like, yeah, sure, for sure. And then I sent him one more message after that, and he stopped. Like, he won't respond to me anymore. It's like he found out what I write about or whatever, and won't touch me anymore. None of these guys will. But anyway, Scavino, 100%er. I do think Mike Pence, and this is controversial because a lot of people think he's a pedophile, which he's not. That was debunked. But a lot of people can't see that he actually did what he was supposed to do. If you look at all the moves Trump made prior to January 6th, he was setting up for some form of devolution thing. If Trump would have prevented Biden from being inaugurated, whether that was on January 6th or January 20th or whatever, there would have been a small-scale civil war. You can go back to that February Time article where they basically admit it was like the plot to fortify the election. And it's like all this whole coalition. I can even find it here, because this is like, they admitted that they stole the election. They called it fortifying, but it was definitely stolen. Yeah, right here. Let me share my screen. But in this article right here, secret history of the shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election, a well-funded cabal of powerful people ranging across industries and ideologies working together behind the scenes to influence perceptions, change rules and laws, steer media coverage, and control the flow of information. And this is how they fortified the election. They weren't rigging it, they were fortifying it. Bullshit. But in this article, they basically say they had people like on speed dial from BLM that were like ready to riot. People were boarding up buildings everywhere. There would have been a lot of damage if Trump would have stopped Biden from being inaugurated. So if you understand that this kind of had to happen, this period we're going through, to wake people up and get people to realize, like, hey, everything about our government and the way it works sucks, then Pence did exactly what he had needed to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I don't think you can have a plan, whether it's you believe devolution is in play, or to anybody who follows the Q stuff, I don't think you can have that without Pence being 100% on board. Because what if something were to happen to Trump?
Yeah.
I mean, what happens then?
Yeah. Maybe Cash Patel. The only thing I could think of, Cash Patel and all these Chris Miller avoiding you, is like, okay, this guy knows what we're doing. Let's avoid this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Just like I read something that Mike Flynn was saying. He was saying all that bullshit that X-22 reports talking about, continuity of government. That's all nonsense and all that. If it's really happening, you would have to have people, the people inside saying that. They couldn't confirm it, right? That would be like blowing 100%. Your cover, right?
100%. Well, there's a couple things to that. So first of all, there's a thing called OPSEC, Operation Security, where if you're part of something like this, anybody in the military, and I wasn't military, I'm just like a nerd with the documents and stuff, but if you're part of the military, like you can't talk about ongoing operations, and something like this would be like hugely important not to say a word about.
Yeah,
There's
it's the biggest
also
operation of all fucking time.
exactly, and then also there's a military deception. That's a real thing where you kind of like mislead people. They absolutely would not confirm it in any way. If anything, they would deny it. Like, it's so funny to me. People are like, "Oh well, we asked Mike Flynn, and Mike Flynn said it's not happening. So clearly it's not happening." I was like, "Well, what do you expect him to like? Did you really expect him to be like, oh yeah, that is happening? So just whatever, fuck
Yeah.
it." No, that's like, what do you expect? They're not going to say a word about it. But I've gotten a lot of like, and I don't even like to talk about these because I'm not one to. I almost feel like I've overstepped in ways with what I've written about because of some of the things that have happened from people that I know are part of it, but other people that aren't part of it. And so you have to take it with a grain of salt. These are people, but I've had like high ranking, like 3-star general type people reach out and be like, yeah, man, I don't know anything. Like, I have no inside information, but I think you're spot on. And so like, it's confirmations like that are, people that are familiar and know some of the people. Like, one of the guys showed me that he had like Chris Miller in his phone. Like, he was texting with Chris Miller. Again, they don't know anything. They have no inside information. Chris Miller would never tell him if it was happening, but it's just like, I believe you're right. Those are the type of confirmations that are like pretty cool to see. But yet we're probably never going to get confirmation. And I fully accepted this. I will probably never get confirmation of devolution being in play if things play out. But it maybe not. Maybe something does have to happen before 2024, and they have to show, or maybe it's this court cases where they're trying to find these documents. Right? Trump did something. We know for a fact Trump did something with the PEDs. Everybody always speculates about that. Trump made a change to the PEDs. That my most recent article.
What's that?
The Presidential Emergency Action Documents. So this is another. The PEDs are like one of the most powerful things a president has. Like, there's hardly any oversight to these things, but basically they're prepared documents that are like, so for if situation A happens, here's situation A response, and it's an executive order. Maybe it could be, I mean, who knows? None has ever been accessed or implemented, but during COVID, do you remember Trump? He made that comment. He's like, I have powers nobody's even heard of. Like, I have all these powers. And the left was like freaking out. Like, we need to rein in presidential powers because of these things. Okay. So we know for a fact I can even show you this article here. So my most recent article, part 25, I did a whole dig on this into the PEDs, and like, there is some open source stuff that's been released. So we know, like, back in 2004, this came out from Bush, like all these PEDs, they were doing a review of the PEDs because every like 4 to 8 years, the Office of Legal Counsel, basically the DOJ, does a review of these to make sure the legality is, at least it could be seen as legal, like, because even some of the stuff they've admitted that it's questionable. But the president in a time of war, basically he can respond however he sees fit. And that's actually one of my favorite court cases precedent right here is. So this stems from Abraham Lincoln back when he was, the Civil War. He did some things that a lot of people were like, oh, that's unconstitutional. He wasn't allowed to do that. But there was DC Circuit case that stemmed from this, and they basically determined, this is Supreme Court precedent, that the president, while he has no power to initiate or declare war may exist without a declaration on either side. In instances where war is declared against the United States by the actions of another country, the president does not initiate the war, but is bound to accept the challenge without waiting for any special legislative authority. The court made clear that it would not dispute the president on measures necessary to repel foreign aggression. The president alone must determine what degree of force the crisis demands. I think that right there gives Trump all the leeway he would need to implement something like devolution if it's happening. But anyway, the PEDs, where's it at? That's not it. Where did I just had it? Okay, right here. So in these are all the reviews of the PEDs, okay? 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. These were all under Obama, obviously, like the review was, and it was ongoing under Trump as well. So There was currently 56 documents, current 56 documents, current 56 documents, current 56 documents. That's the language in all of them. All these languages are pretty much identical with current. In 2017, and this is the last year of the review, they changed the language to approximately 56 documents. So it wasn't exactly 56 documents anymore. Something changed with the PEDs. And I think this is the proof, like right off the bat in 2017, Trump made a change to these documents. And I think that's a pretty big deal. Like there's tons of articles. If you just search presidential emergency action documents, you'll find tons of articles where they need to like get access to these documents. In 2020, they were trying their best. Adam Schiff was trying to implement a bill where he could access the PEDs and Congress would get access to the PEDs. Happened multiple times, and then even happened twice while Biden was in office, which if Biden and Schiff are on the same side, which you can kind of logically assume that they probably are, if Biden had access to the PEDs, then you would assume the enemy has access to the PEDs, and so does Schiff. But they were still trying. In 2022, they were trying to get access to the PEDs. Adam Schiff's bill was still ongoing. And then right here, let me read. I'm gonna read a quote of what the PEDs are, because it's like just to give an understanding of. Okay, faced with the possibility of a Soviet nuclear strike, mid to late 20th century presidents crafted a collection of pre-planned emergency actions. Although none has ever been leaked, declassified, or deployed, we know that some early drafts rested in broad claims to inherent executive power. Official reports from the 1960s indicate that various PEDs authorized the president to suspend habeas corpus, detain dangerous persons within the United States, censor news media, prevent international travel, all sorts of stuff. So, I mean, the fact that you could suspend habeas corpus, that's like a huge constitutional thing. I'd imagine they could, who knows the powers the president has in these things. And I think there's an aspect of what is going on right now with the court cases into Trump and J6 and all these things where they're trying to get these documents Trump has somewhere. Like they're going after these documents everywhere. And I think this maybe they're trying to look to what he did. Because I believe, and I'll shut up after this, I believe they thought Trump was going to stop Biden from being inaugurated. And that's why they did January 6th. That was a false flag if I've ever seen one. And no matter what the media says, that was clearly a false flag. But beyond that, after that, they rushed to impeach him. Why would they rush to impeach him unless they still thought something was going to happen? Like they were trying to create this narrative that Trump was basically causing an insurrection. He was trying to overthrow the government. And if Trump would have like stepped in with evidence he had, it only would have like made their narrative that they created that he was this insurrectionist and all this stuff, it would have like validated it. So that's part of the reason he had to walk away and implement something else. But I do think they knew they were caught. Everybody knew they were caught. And I think they were just as surprised as anybody that he actually like walked away. But now you see all these things happening, and it's like they don't really have control. They can't get shit done in Congress. Biden can't get shit done. Biden's negotiating with Iran, and we're bombing Iran militias. It doesn't make sense. Contradictions everywhere.
Now, let's say we are in continuity of government, and this theory of devolution is legit and it's happening. What do the demons think about it? Are they aware that that this is going on and they're just fucking freaking out? Or it seems like they're pushing forward and doing their jobs, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, do they know? Do they think like, damn, we might be under devolution? What are they thinking? Like, what is people in Congress, like what are they thinking?
I don't know. I mean,
some of them that think that it might be happening, right?
I think there's probably a good mix of something, like they have to know something's weird. I look to the Ukraine conflict. Everybody was saying like, we need to prevent Russia from winning that war. We need, like, I fully expected if Biden and them had full control, if the military was, and again, I don't know the full scope of where Biden's control begins and Trump's control, whatever. I expected boots on the ground, but they didn't get that. I think by now they've realized like, hey, something weird is going on. I don't know how much of Congress knows it, but I do know. Here, let me show you this. One of the guys who's a follower of ours. He I think it's Patrick. Yeah. So this guy, he was at a conference recently where Matt Gaetz was at, and let me show you this. Okay, right here. Sorry, I just want to find the post, because he said he like asked Matt Gaetz if he's heard of devolution, and he's said, yeah, I've heard of it. But again, this is just a guy, like, I don't know him personally. I mean, I know he's been following our stuff for a while, but it's interesting if it's true right here. Sorry, share screen. Me seconds before asking Matt Gaetz if he heard of devolution, he replied, yes. I would have asked more questions, but I think there's a level of people knowing something's going on. And like I said before, Trump is basically admitting it. That speech he gave in that clip that we showed at the beginning, he says, this is my second term, but I don't want the results of it. Like, how does that make any sense? Like, why would he, somebody square that hole for me? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all for him to be saying that.
Maybe, I mean, it could be him, just another way of saying the election was rigged. It could be that, you know what I mean? The election was rigged. Instead of him saying, oh, it was rigged, he was like, this is my second term, basically, because it was rigged and I should have won. I mean, it could be,
Yeah, definitely.
I'm all with you, though. I'm all with you, man. I think the theory of devolution and continuity of government, that's the only answer for how retarded the Biden administration is and has been since day one. And day one, Biden makes it legal for guys to play chick sports. It's like if they had just 1/4 of a brain, one of his advisors would say, Mr. President, we don't need to do that right now, dog. It's not a good time. No one cares about that shit. Okay, let's handle some other shit, right? We could do that later, during fucking Christmas break. No one knows anything about it, but right fucking now is not a good time for this. Nobody wants this shit. You know what I mean? You would think like, right now you're gonna do this, like it's
happening all over. Do you remember when
shit after dumb shit after dumb? I'm like, they're not that dumb. No, they're not that fucking dumb.
Hunter Biden was being indicted for like gun charge while Joe Biden was giving speeches like, we need to protect, or like, we need to change the rules of the Second Amendment and take away all these gun, contradiction again. And he got off of, in a sense, from the gun charge. But if I could ever interview Trump, this is the one question I would ask him. Like, if he truly believed that there was election fraud, okay, I mean, I would ask him a ton of questions. So this is how I'd end that interview. If you truly believed that there's election fraud and you had evidence of election fraud and you were president and you literally walked away and did nothing, then you would be derelict in your duties as president. And therefore, why should anybody elect you again? Why are you electable now when you showed that you couldn't perform the duties as required as president before? Him walking away and just letting things happen would mean that he was derelict in his duties. It's one of those contradictions that I don't believe happened, especially when you couple that with everything. I mean, there's just so much, guys. 25 articles I've written, and plus addendums. Like, it's probably like closer to 35 total articles of weird things, but open source things, all backed by documents. That it adds up to something. There's clearly something going on. It's just a matter of fully defining it. There's no matter what going to be some classified info we're never going to have. But when you just look at the public stuff, shit's weird. That's the only way to put it. Shit's weird.
What's the story with Chris Miller? That's his name, right? The guy that he put in Department of Secretary of Defense, correct?
Yep.
Right? Chris Miller. When you look into him and his past and what he's done, does he seem like a legit patriot to you?
Oh, 100%. So
what's up with his past?
Lifetime in the military. Okay, so he was one of the first guys, boots on the ground. The movie, it's like The Horse Soldier or something, or 12 Horses or something, like, where the first guys on the ground in Afghanistan were all on horses and riding around. I can find the movie, but he's one of the characters is based on him. He was one of those guys. Like, he was one of the first guys on the ground in Afghanistan, and he like grew from there, and huge military career, rose through the ranks, was on a bunch of QRFs, quick reaction forces.
I mean,
where,
just
you know,
based on what you just said right there, that doesn't mean that much. I mean, there's a lot of demons that were in the military. You know, there's a lot of corrupt military personnel. So
For sure.
what more is there about his life that makes
okay,
him
so
legit?
when I look at him, like he was, I guess I don't know him personally, like, you know, so like I can't give I know people who know him personally that can vouch for his character, but I can't. So, but just looking at his military career, he grew up in like the special operations. That was his thing, like going to rescue people, quick reaction forces, going to rescue people in Afghanistan, like in dire situations. During the what was the Hillary Clinton thing? Why can't I think of it now? Benghazi. Yeah. So during Benghazi, he was number 3 in line for special operations at the Pentagon. Okay. And this is a guy who, like, he spent a lifetime essentially on these quick reaction forces, and they had one ready where when they got the call, they could have sent it in. But he had to sit there and watch the call come in for probably his buddies, people he's worked with, to go get rescued, and they didn't send anybody. And so, like, being in control, like, or being in that position, like being helpless and like watching that happen, I think you kind of witness some of the corruption and the bureaucracy of the military. A lot of the stuff Flynn talked about in Afghanistan, where everything's politicized. Like, we have intelligence on the ground, we need to act on it right now, but we have to send it back to Washington, D.C., and then they don't do anything about it, and then the stuff on the ground changes. When Chris Miller got in there, a lot of these things, like they cut the red tape so that they didn't have to go to the bureaucracy anymore, which I think was huge. Like, that it's putting more control in the military's hand and away from DC, which I think is important. But his entire background is special operations and irregular warfare. And so that's what I look at. Why would Trump fire his current Secretary of Defense and then specifically put him in, and then make all these other changes and all these, you look all the moves with irregular warfare, which again is psyops. It's narrative warfare. It's winning over the population to your cause. That's what this guy is an expert in. And then even Trump's, so the biggest executive order that I talked about, the executive order 13961, which again, December 7th, implementing the continuity government plan, that let me find this. That executive order was also issued with a memo. Okay. And that memo, let me find it right here. I'm going to share my screen one more time. So again, this is for my part 13, which, if you just want to read one thing that kind of proves there's something that Trump put in place, this is probably the article, or you can read the introduction article, but this one is a good one. But anyway, it came out at the same time. These two go hand in hand, the executive order and this strategy, the federal mission resilience strategy. If you read, like right here, federal executive branch, this is the introduction written by Trump, signed by Trump. He's talking about our adversaries will not attempt to fight us on our terms. They are adept at competing below the threshold of armed conflict. And this whole thing is to preserve our constitutional form of government against those enemies. And then if you look at, let me find, I think it's this one. So right before the election was implemented. Oh, by the way, have you ever seen this video, The Ghost in the Machine?
No, let's see it.
Oh, you haven't seen this video?
No.
Oh shit, man. Okay. This, yeah, I'll play it and then we'll go from there.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
You say your last good night while I get
There is another very important phase of warfare.
has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by Psy-War.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
Gripping.
But the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form. These are the Psy-War soldiers.
It's the end of the world.
that video came out in, I think, March of, it was like right before I wrote this article. Yeah, it was like end of March or early May, maybe, of 2022. And it stemmed into a whole 2 articles, essentially, which resulted in what I think you could logically prove Q is legit. But anyway, it's the people who made this video is one of our military groups, the 4th PSYOP group. Then you dig into them, who they are, their history. Like in the video, they have those army people flipping tanks during World War II.
Yeah, those inflatable tanks.
Yeah, they had a whole branch, which was like a fake army, which they moved around and did all these things just to like make people think that we had a huge force in one place so we could do other. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But you dig into this stuff, PSYOPs, psychological operations, 4th PSYOP group, huge aspect of what we're doing. But in 1 month before the stolen election, our military, Department of Defense, they issued a new annex called the Irregular Warfare Annex, and it basically went on to our national security strategy, Trump strategy. Again, 1 month before the election, the person who put this out was Ezra Cohen Watnick. He was in charge of the group that put this out. He was like in charge of he was the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and Low Intensity Conflict on October 2nd. So it was his department that put this out. And he's kind of a big player in devolution, I believe, anyway. But then this is like some of this word in here. Wording, let me find it. Yeah, so right here. I quote that strategy that we just talked about. Our adversaries will not attempt to fight us on our terms, adept at competing below the threshold of armed conflict. And then in here, in the annex, they talk about below the threshold, influence operations, all the stuff affecting legitimacy. I believe Trump was kind of like connecting the two by using some of the same language. But then you dig into Chris Miller's background, and it's all counterterrorism, military information support operations, which are PSYOPs. They just changed the name of it. Information operations, unconventional warfare, all these things. And to me, coupled with all the moves that Trump made, I mean, it's hard to deny. Like here, so when Chris Miller cut the red tape for Ezra Cohen Watnick, meaning that instead of having all the bureaucracy, Ezra Cohen Watnick would report as head of special operations. He would report directly to the Secretary of Defense. That's what I mean by cutting the red tape. They did it next to the statue called the Bronze Bruce. And when you read like what it's about, his stance upon a rocky ledge with 1 foot, crushing the snake, is symbolic of tyranny in the world and threats and dangers that will instantly bring him to action. He's a perpetual proponent to evil. Just interesting stuff. Kash Patel, one of our 100%ers, he was in charge. He was Chris Miller's, what was he? He was chief of staff, and he was in charge of the transition. And he was the one stonewalling the Biden administration, which an article came out in December, where the Trump team refused to provide information about current operations, particularly in the special operations realm. So what the hell is going on there? Interesting. All these authorities got expanded. And then right here, here's a summary of all these moves that Trump made, specifically having to do with irregular warfare and special operations. And so like, why would he be making all these moves? And then that video comes out. It blew my mind because it like tied it all together. It's like it was like a soft, I call them Devo proof, that, hey, they're kind of hinting at something's going on here. We're in the middle of a narrative warfare, a great awakening. That's why Trump had to walk away, is to win the narrative war and win people over. I don't know. It's fascinating stuff, man.
Who is the owner of what was that Black, was it Black Rock? It was like a military company or something that Blackwater. There was a guy who owned Blackwater that was supposed. Is that Chris Miller?
No,
The
I
guy
think you're
he's supposed to be a
Eric
patriot.
Prince.
Yes,
Eric Prince.
yes.
Yep.
Is that guy legit in your
I think
research?
I do think he's legit. I haven't like studied him. He hasn't directly connected, but I do think Eric Prince.
Yeah, that's him.
God, it's been so long since I've looked into him. The one bad thing about starting Badlands Media is I got so freaking busy. Like I haven't researched or written or even done interviews like this. I don't do interviews like I used to. But I'm pretty sure he is connected to Chris Miller. Like I don't remember if they were in the same spot together or like at one point in their military career, but I do believe Prince is solid. Don't quote me on that, but if this is who I'm thinking of, I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah, because this is the guy that was big in the Middle East, and he had some Australian ties too. And he was connected to what's the guy's name in Australia that was making a push for? Can't remember his name. But he's tied to the Trump campaign.
Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, Crocodile Dundee.
That's the only Australian I know. Him and Frank Barca. That's all I know.
Yep, and Steve Bannon. I think he's a key player.
He's legit in your eyes.
Yeah, I basically and so the article I just showed you was my part 23, but my part let me find it. My part 24, or sorry, the one we just looked at was part 22. Part 23 is where I go through again all these weird, crazy things, public information, guys, but you can basically pick out who you think was part of the Q team, and that's kind of what I did. And it's all based on who at the beginning of Trump's term, there's a group of people that Flynn kind of brought in, but they were working on Trump's behalf to clear out the deep state. It says right here, the political plotting in the early days of Trump's presidency provides a window into a 3-year effort by Trump and his loyalists to identify and expunge suspected deep state. That's what they call them, deep state opponents. They're not people who love our country. You look at who it was. There was Rich Higgins was one of them, and I think he was one of the original authors of the Q posts. If you look at the timeline of everything in his background, it's this guy because he wrote this paper, it got him fired. I mean, it's this whole long thing. But there's also Ezra Cohen Watnick was one of these guys. It was Rich Higgins, Ezra Cohen Watnick, and Steve Bannon, all part of Trump's NSC, working to weed out the deep state, and then they all get forced out by McMaster. And right after that, they were all fired by August, and then 2 months later in October, the Q drops started. And again, I haven't even read through the Q drops, but I think logically, like if we're in an information war, you know what? I even have a quote here at the end. Let me just read this because I put it really good in this article.
And what is the website people can find all this stuff?
Devolution.link.
Devolution.link. Okay.
Yeah. So what would it take to win a battle for the narrative when your enemy has control of the mainstream media, big tech, social media, and more? Not only do they have control, but they have successfully brainwashed an extremely large portion of the population into blindly following every word they say. In order to win this type of irregular warfare, you would need to dismantle your enemy's stranglehold on the narrative, but you would somehow have to bypass them to do so. You need to get people the truth in a way that can't be controlled. Once the truth is unleashed, there's no going back. And I quoted Trump, truth is a force of nature. So some game theory. There's a team of Trump loyalists working to weed out the deep state in the early days of Trump's presidency, and Trump was aware of what they were doing. He instructed them to do it. That's what they were quoted on saying. The fact that Rich Higgins was part of the group of loyalists is crucial. Higgins is an expert in irregular warfare. He went on to partner with an expert in strategic communications and information operations, and his memo perfectly details the ongoing irregular warfare that I've been talking about in the entire series. Higgins knew exactly what kind of battle for the narrative they were up against, which means all of them, including Trump, knew exactly what they were up against. With all that said, what has been the one thing that has worked to dismantle the deep state stranglehold on the narrative while bypassing them in the process? It would be the Q operation. And so I think you can logically kind of conclude, but I would urge everybody to go read my part 22 and part 23 are probably on part 13 is like the biggest executive order, but in terms of everything else, like all these other moves Trump made, and in terms of the narrative war that we're in, it's part 22 and part 23. It's undeniable that there's something bigger going on. And that Rich Higgins memo, the thing that got him fired, is mind blowing. He perfectly details everything that we're up against right now.
And the fact that they went so hard against Q.
Yeah, man.
There was a while there where, man, if you said you were following Q, they would basically cancel you. All that shit's over now. You could say anything you want about Q, but for a while there, man, if you were down with Q, you could get canceled. They could go after you. I mean, HBO made that Q series. They were going after Q hard, QAnon this, Q theories this. Right there, that alone should make you think like, damn, maybe there's something to this Q thing.
For sure. And exactly. Why would they do that? And they've tried to tie I've had a few mainstream media articles written about me where they try to tie me to Q, which I mean, I can't deny that a lot of my friends that I've made while doing this are Q, but like, if you actually know anybody who has followed Q or read the drops, it's information, right? It's you can look at it just as simply information, and that's it. And what's wrong with that? But then even further, like the people who've studied Q and believe there's something bigger behind it, none of them are what the mainstream media has portrayed him to be. And none of Q is what the mainstream media has portrayed it to be. Like it's not about, I mean, again, this is based on what I'm told from these people. Like we have a show on our network, Badlands Media, called Eye of the Storm, where they're going through the Q drops like one by one from the beginning. I don't watch as much as I should, but again, the stuff that I've seen, like it's hard to deny that, like how compelling it is. But the most engaged people you'll meet are the people that have read Q. Like there's nothing about Q or even devolution that's like, hey, just sit back and relax and wait for people to do what needs to be done for you. It's everybody's like, they're so engaged. You need to be. It's part of it. You're literally taking part in an information war, and it's the bottom up approach, right? So I hate that approach too. Like, oh, Q is so stupid because people are just going to sit home on their butt. That's not true. Nobody I know that follows Q is sitting back on their butts doing nothing. They're more engaged than anybody else.
Yeah, I've never been on 4chan or 8chan or where.
And neither have I.
All I've seen is like the drops on like Instagram, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or on X22 report, you know, Dave will talk about the drops. I've never actually seen the drops. I haven't seen all of them. It seemed real to me for a while, and then, you know, when Biden got in and there was no arrest, everybody just jumped off the Q train. Everybody, myself included. Like I was like, I don't know what to believe anymore. I thought there's no way if this plan was legit. There's no way the plan's legit, and then Biden wins. He's gonna unravel the plan. There's no way. So once Biden got in, I'm like, okay, Q ain't real. There's no way it could be real, and that's everybody jumped off, dude. I was on Q boards where everyone was down. And now those same boards are anti-Q. Same exact board.
Really?
Like if you bring up Q, you're a fucking idiot. You still believe that bullshit? You know what I mean? But now looking back 3 years later, I'm like, if the plan was legit, if there's a legit plan and they didn't, in the plan, there had to be discussions. There had to be like strategic meetings. I mean, how you gonna have a plan if you don't like discuss like the plan and the steps? And if there was no discussion about how to deprogram the population, because it's already known, like, you know, through you know, the communist infiltration, the ideological subversion that Yuri Bezmenov talks about, that former KGB agent, that he explains that ideological subversion, you know, takes like 16 years to fully indoctrinate a society to take them down and destroy the family and just demoralize everybody. It takes 16 years. So if there's a plan, the plan would know about that. And then the plan would have to figure out, like, how the fuck are we going to deprogram these people? And if the plan didn't address the amount of time it would take and the exact plan, you know, it'd be, you know, if it takes 16 years to infiltrate a society and indoctrinate the young into a communist like way of thinking, then it would have to be like, you know, 6, 7, even at the very least another 16 years to deprogram. But maybe it doesn't take as long to deprogram, but for sure it's going to take multiple years. If it took 16 years, it's going to take at least half that, like 8 years or whatever.
Well, think about it.
Yeah. So that's what this is, in my opinion, is we're in the middle of deprogramming the brainwash.
Yeah. The Great Awakening. And the thing about it is, like, we've been brainwashed for sure, but they've done it with the mainstream media, and we still don't have the mainstream media. So like, how do you wake people up when you don't have control of any of the info? It's not just mainstream media. It's like been all of social media and big tech. We've had no access to any of like the biggest operational like information weapons available. And now you could say we have Twitter. Elon Musk is the largest DoD contractor. That's what Kash Patel said. He was the largest DoD contractor under Trump. Now he happens to own the largest information weapon out there. But one of the things, this is an article that came out a long time ago. Let me share this. And this is fascinating too. This is from the Washington Post. The Pentagon opened a sweeping review of clandestine psychological operations because complaints were coming in about the U.S. military's influence operations using Facebook and Twitter, raising concern in the White House and federal agencies. So the military has been doing some interesting influence operations on social media, and Biden's own DoD or Pentagon, right? I view the Pentagon and the actual like combatant commanders and boots on the ground people as separate, but Biden's Pentagon opened a review because there was something going on in psychological operations that they had no purview of, right? It's stuff like this multiple times happening. And then there was, oh man, I wish I could find this off the top of my head here. There was an article that came out a while ago. Let me see if I can find it. But essentially, it was reported that Trump issued a psychological operation to be carried out against Iran as he was leaving office. And it was to be carried out under Biden, but it was going to be implemented by Trump, and Biden wasn't to be aware of it. So like he was instructing this plan to be carried out under Biden while Trump was away by special operations. Let me see if I can pull this up here. It might take a second because I know the account that had it. Let's see if this does it. So when you see stuff like this, it's, oh, let's see. Here we go. Oh no, that's not it. Sorry, bear with me here. I'll show you what I'm looking at. Another one of our guys in our group here. His name's Just Human. He is. I mean, this is essentially it. While being briefed on elements of the campaign, Trump acknowledged that it would have to be carried out by the incoming Biden administration. According to the formal official, it is unclear whether the Biden administration has continued to pursue the Trump-approved operations. It was basically a shadow war against Iran, while also seeking to negotiate with Tehran. And then this is one of the things that came out of the classified document stuff with Jack Smith, where they're trying to figure out what plans are going on behind the scenes. And I mean, I'm sure it could go on, but essentially it was carried out. It was carried out by special operations, and the Biden administration didn't even know about it. So again, it's like another one of those proofs that we look for of something going on behind the scenes. Anyway, we're in a narrative war, man. It's undeniable.
Absolutely, man. Now, since we last did a podcast a year ago, have you like what do you look into? You can be looking at devolution all day. There's like I'm not Captain Conspiracy all day. I do my duty. I get on top of what the latest shit's going on with the trials, fucking Iran, whatever, Hamas, all the latest shit. But I also strategically take time off to look at other shit. Like I'm really into football. I love Cleveland Browns. I listen to Cleveland Browns podcasts every today, like 2 of them I did already listen today, because I can't do Biden all day. I can't do it. My head will explode. I need football for the distraction. I know sports are to distract you from what's really going on, but since I pay attention to what's going on every day, I reward myself with a little vacation, little brain vacation. And football is a distraction for me on purpose. I want the distraction. And music documentaries music, interviews, and football. That's what I'm into.
Yeah.
And the old world. I love Tartaria and all that stuff. I love
man.
that shit. What do you what rabbit holes do you go down to other than devolution?
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, we started this Badlands Media. That has really taken a lot of my time, and it's like the running the business side of things, because we have like 30 some shows, 40 some podcasters. We have a Substack. We have all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I do like sports. I took a little hiatus from watching sports when I first, like, it was about 2021, and then I kind of got back into it this year now with football. I'm a Vikings fan. So
You guys got rid of Jeffries, Justin Jeffries today.
we traded him.
He went to the Chiefs today. Yeah.
What?
You get Vikings are just giving up on the fucking season, man.
No way.
That's what I read.
Justin Jefferson?
Yep. Yeah, Justin Jefferson to the Chiefs.
There's no way that's true.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. Do you find it?
I haven't found it yet.
But look, go to YouTube. Go, and you'll see it.
Okay, I'll see. Oh, man, that would blow my mind.
Suck. Are you kidding? That's the worst. That guy's one of the best, maybe the best receiver in the league.
Yeah, I can't imagine they do that. But
and then Kirk Cousins goes out with Achilles. He's gone for the.
That must be fake news, man. There's no way.
It's not coming up.
No.
Yeah, why would they get rid of him? Maybe make. I saw it on YouTube. Maybe it did say Justin Jefferson or Jeffries, or whatever the fuck his name is, to the Chiefs. In the like.
Maybe it's like one of those mock hypothetical trades.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I fucked up because I couldn't believe. Yeah, maybe I fucked up. Maybe I read it wrong. But I was like, oh shit, damn, they're giving up. They are giving up.
It wouldn't. They're in a wild card spot right now, and they got that
they're
Josh
doing
Dobbs.
Good.
They're doing all right.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs used to be. I'm a Browns fan, and Josh Dobbs was the backup for Deshaun Watson, and then they gave up on him because they got this rookie Dorian Thompson Robinson DTR,
that's right.
And then they go, fuck that, we don't need Josh Dobbs no more. We're gonna use the rookie as the backup. They get rid of Josh Dobbs, and then Deshaun goes down. They have to put the rookie in against the Baltimore Ravens, and he has like the worst game in NFL history, dude. And then immediately that's it. They let him start one. They got him out, and then they pulled the guy out of practice squad, PJ Walker. They go, fuck Dorian Thompson Robinson, and they put in PJ Walker, who's a journeyman practice squad quarterback, and he won 2 games for the Browns. Practice squad quarterback.
They got a solid team.
Played like shit. And still won because our defense is number 1 right now. So
yeah, Myles Garrett's a beast. But Josh Dobbs, like, we just got him this week. He wasn't even in practice for like 4 days, and then the guy that they had starting, Tooney or something, got a concussion. So Dobbs comes in and doesn't know any of the plays. Like, the coach Kevin O'Connell was like calling in plays and like telling him like, hey, this receiver's doing this receiver's doing this, and he won the game.
It's
like
crazy.
With the last second touchdown. It was nuts. But
yeah, that's insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
So
football.
What about so it's football to me is like, that's the greatest sport ever. It's like every player, every coach got a different assignment. Everyone got and then the quarterback got to know everybody's assignment. I fucking love football. Since I was a kid, I love football. But what other conspiracy theory type red pill stuff are you into that isn't about you ever look into like, fake moon landings and all that shit?
Oh man. So one of the shows, and it's one of my favorite shows that I'm on Badlands. So like I do a whole bunch of different shows. Daily news show. I do my Devolution Power Hours. But then I'm on a show every Monday night called Baseless Conspiracies, and it's with my buddy Zach Payne. And all we do is like cover a different conspiracy theory every week. And so like we've done everything from fake moon landing to like stuff with Antarctica to, I mean, I could find a whole list of the shows we've done. That's my like escape, because when I woke up kind of in 2018, but I was just following the Trump Spygate stuff. I wasn't like fully in depth to everything. And then after 2020, the stolen election, 2021, I shortly thereafter in like June started researching and writing my series like full in depth, and that's all I ever focused on was the Trump stuff. And so the guy that I do that show with, Zach, he's been around awake for years before Trump.
Yeah.
And his knowledge of like all these conspiracies are just insane. Like Loch Ness monster, the McCain stuff, the media stuff, viruses, are they real? We've done Tartaria, JFK assassination, 9/11, chemtrails, Martin Luther MLK shooting, the Malaysian flight, Project Looking Glass, Satanic Movement, Project Blue Beam.
It's endless.
Ass wangs, cow mutilations, moon landings, the Mandalay Bay shooting, the Jesuits, crisis actors, Trump family, and we have done Freemasons, the Trump family and time travel. That's an interesting one too.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch, but every Monday we do a new conspiracy theory.
So does the guy, your partner, that's balls deep in conspiracy, he believes the moon landings were faked? He's got it right.
I would. It's hard for me to know what he actually believes with some of this stuff because he presents it in such a good way. He knows everything about the conspiracy side and what okay, if you believe the Earth is flat, he knows like all the arguments for the Earth being flat, but then he also knows all the counter arguments. And I never really know what his belief is, but we have some flat earthers on our, in our network.
What if we really are in a lake? We're in a lake, and there's a bunch of lakes, and there's an Earth lake, and we're surrounded by ice. I mean, people think that's crazy that we're surrounded by ice, that we're in a lake, and the North Pole's in the middle. Dude, there's massive video of the ice wall. It's 200 feet up. It's those aren't icebergs. It's fucking ice wall. Game of fucking Thrones. Dude, you know what I mean? And we're in a fucking lake, dude. We're in a fucking lake. We're in a prison lake, and there's a bunch of lakes all over the place. I don't have evidence of it, but I know one thing: we're on some level shit. That's for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll send you a video. There's probably 1,000 hours of evidence, but there's this one 3-hour document, nothing but pilots and military personnel coming out, because it's just like COVID, where most doctors would say, yeah, COVID is real, and you got to get your vaccine, but a lot of them, they're retards, and a lot of them just don't want to get fired, and they know the truth. You know what I mean? Because you start speaking up, you're going to get your fucking medical license revoked.
And how much money was in COVID? Everybody was like financially incentivized to push the COVID narrative.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. If you want to fucking, you want to make people believe in this scamdemic, you better pay the hospitals. You better pay that was brilliant. Oh,
pay the doctors.
30K per COVID. Then you put COVID down, we'll give you 30K of taxpayer money. It's fucking brilliant. There had to be like at least one hospital out there, at least one, that the administrators were like, kicking down to the nurses too. Like, hey, every time,
for sure, everybody's getting
couple $100 here, couple $100 there, because there's got to be at least one fucking evil bitch ass nurse. There's like, she's dealing with all these old people that are on death's door, and any of those motherfuckers give this nurse any shit. Like, I wanted apple juice. You give me orange juice. How many times I gotta say apple juice? And then them nurses, that one nurse, there's got to be at least one nurse. It's like, shit, if I fucking take this pillow and fucking suffocate you, I get $300 bonus. You know what I mean?
I'm sure
there had to be some crazy shit out there.
Look at what happened with China. China put those videos out of people falling over in the streets, and our media was playing that like over and over and over. It was a fear-driven panic. I mean, that was totally fake.
Well, they weren't, dude. The deep state, the controllers are smart as fuck. The way they sold it was they didn't show it. They let it go viral. All the videos of people dropping. So people were like, hey, did you see all these videos of people dropping in China? So it made it believable by the mainstream media initially ignoring it. So to get people to believe it. It's fucking genius. It's like when you do those punk sketches. And I've punked a lot of people, and I got a lot of punks on video. And the way you do it is you start like a little situation, a little problem, but don't involve the ones you're focused on. You don't involve them. So that's how they believe it, because they're not involved. If you involve the victims initially, they're going to go, wait a minute, this is, what is it? Is this, am I being punked? But you don't involve them. It's off to the side. So they believe it 100% because it has nothing to do with them. They have no idea that it has everything to do with them. They're going to drag you in later. And by the time they drag you in, you're going to fucking buy it hook, line, and sinker. You're going to have no reason not to believe it. So the way they did it is they had all these videos of people dropping in China. Like first it was just in Wuhan. Oh, did you hear about Wuhan? They closed the city. And then politicians would come out and say, oh, you don't have to worry about that. They got to contain. We're good. They're quarantined. They quarantine their cities, so that's what you're supposed to do. So it's not gonna get out. Just go back to your regular life. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Fucking genius. That's fucking genius. Because then everyone's like, oh, no, look at these videos. They're being leaked, and the mainstream media is ignoring it, so it must be real. It's
social media. They control that stuff. Look at them let that run rampant, but then they censor anybody who speaks out against it. But the mainstream media,
and then when they got all the people going, fuck, man, the mainstream media, they're ignoring it. People are really dying. What if it spreads? They're saying it's not going to spread. And then all of a sudden, oh, it spreads. Oh, Tom Hanks gets it in Australia. And then fucking Prince fucking whatever, Harry or someone, one of them princes gets it. One of the fucking, you're in Buckingham Palace and you got it. And then Tom Hanks got right in the beginning. Oh, and then 33 cases in fucking Seattle. And then all these 33 cases here, 33 cases in Thailand. It's like, that to me was red team go. When you see all the 33s, that means like, this is it. Let's go. And
then the COVID death counters on the TV, like that's the fear porn. Like that's them. They don't let that go viral, whatever. But once it gets here, that's when they stoke that fear and make it seem like
and then it's totally real. Everyone bought it. Hey, John, you were awesome, man. Thank you very much for joining us. How can my audience reach you?
Yeah, badlandsmedia.tv. It's the website. You can find all of our stuff, or on Twitter is probably where I'm at the most now. It's at @Patel_Patriot.
This is my favorite subject, man. Devolution, continuity of government is my favorite subject, man, because
mine too,
I
man.
fucking hope this is real, dude. I fucking hope it looks like it is, man, but
a lot of circumstantial evidence.
Who knows what the fuck is really going on, man? Because we're in a fucking lake, a prison lake, and maybe I don't know, man. I don't know. I think the United States is the absolute best minimum security prison, and everyone's trying to get to this prison. This is the only prison in the world that allows the inmates to have guns. They like that shit, and they let us talk shit. They thought it was cute for a while. They're like, you know what? Let's let these prisoners have guns and let them talk whatever shit they want. Free speech. And then now they're like, okay, enough of that. That was cute. Let's pull the fucking plug on this shit. Let's turn these motherfuckers into Ecuador. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. It makes total sense that we just lost the technology to go back to the moon. From the city.
There you go. There you
makes
go.
total
there
sense, right?
There you go. Dude, we're in a fucking lake, dog. Fucking lake. We are.
It's possible. I
once you go flat,
surprised.
No one has ever went back. No one has ever went, oh, I used to think it was flat and I knew all the shit about it, but now I'm back to we're on a ball. No one ever does that, dude.
I'm very neutral on the subject. It's like, I know the powers that be lie to us about so much. I wouldn't surprise me if we got proof that, like, the earth is flat. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm just like neutral. Like, for me, I don't have a way of proving one way or the other at this point. Someday I hope to build a rocket and find out for myself. But for now, it's like, I'm not going to win that argument with anybody. So I focus on like plus the easily winnable stuff.
And plus it hurts your reputation too. So
trust
me, I know. But I don't give a fuck. At first I cared. At first people, they're secret, they're closet flat earthers for about 2 years. And then they finally just say, fuck it, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, John, thank you for joining me, man. This was an awesome conversation. We'll do it again. We'll do part 3 soon. Thank you very much.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, man.
History is written by the victors. So what if the victor story is fabricated? What if the story they gave us all about our recent past was nothing short of a complete lie? For far too long, humanity has relied
Visit OWOfilm.com for more information.
The Jiu-Jitsu Dojo is the ultimate training ground for life. Jiu-Jitsu will accelerate the evolution of your being, your consciousness, your soul. Through this amazing art, you will prove to yourself that you can master anything you set your mind to.
Happy birthday, Eddie Bravo.
I leave for Brazil tomorrow.
Are you the Fear Factor guy?
I'm like 6 pounds over. Time to sweat it out.
Just imagine someone that has no idea how different your game is.
I'll tell you what this weekend was, man. It was a culmination point where all your hard work comes to like one great moment in time. You showed that you're a fucking champion, guy who goes against convention. You created your own shit and figured interesting ways to get around problems in jiu-jitsu. And shows you that great things are possible if you work hard, if you dedicate yourself, and you use your creativity, and you push through. Your own human potential just goes up.
My 10th Planet Association has grown rapidly to over 70 academies worldwide, and their curriculums are all synced to 10th Planet headquarters located in downtown Los Angeles. I'm Eddie Bravo. I hope to see you on the mats.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake.